Sound check, sound check. Sound check, students. Let me know in the chat if I'm audible and visible. Welcome to Vedantu NEET English. This is Basavaraj Sir, your biology master teacher. So quickly let me know, the students, in the chat if I'm audible and visible to every single one of you. Quickly let me know though if I'm audible and visible. If yes, if I'm audible and visible, red heart in the chat, because this is the part 2 of your zoology chapter, right? We'll be doing the part 2 of your zoology chapter, that is going to be your human reproduction. Now, students, tell me in the starting, will you tell me, how was the first part? How was the first part? Are there any doubts in your first part? See, in the first part of the class, that was day for yesterday, in the first part, we finished the major chunk of this chapter, which includes your spermatogenesis as well as oogenesis. Both are done. Now, before we start the class, all of you, quickly smash that like button. If you're watching a record, also smash that like button. If you're watching it live, also quickly mark your attendance by smashing the like button first of all, because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. That's why, right? Now, in the previous class, see here, let's go back. Where were we? Male reproductive system done. Female reproductive system done. Gametogenesis done. The gametogenesis, which includes your spermatogenesis as well as oogenesis. Now, students, if you are right, if you have not watched the first part, I would recommend you to watch the first part and then watch the second part, because it will obviously make more sense. Obviously, you do not want to watch Bahubali 2 and then watch Bahubali 1, right? You cannot do that. So watch Bahubali 1. That is going to be the first part of the class. That is human reproduction part 1. Okay. Now, quickly let me know in the chat if you are excited for today's class, because in today's class, we will be doing the menstrual cycle, fertilization and implantation, pregnancy and embryo development, and also parturition and lactation. And with that, you can confidently tell that yes, this chapter is done, this chapter is in my hand, all the marks is in your hands from this chapter, obviously. Okay. Now, I would want you to do two things. Obviously, the first thing is open your NCERT and read with me, right? Open NCERT, read with me. The second thing which you need to do right now is keep a notepad next to you. Keep a notepad next to you. Write down the extra points which I'm telling you. Mark the lines of NCERT with me, and also keep a water bottle next to you, right? Keep a water bottle next to you, all of you. It'll help you for rehydration. Help you with rehydration. Okay. Now, let's start with fertilization. Let's start with, why is this not working? One second, students. Let's start with menstrual cycle. Okay, does not work. Great. Okay. Let's start with menstrual cycle now, shall we? Now, let me read for you. All of you read with me, and if any doubt anywhere, always ask me, I'm here. Okay. The reproductive cycle in the female primates, that is monkey, humans and everything, apes and human beings, is called as menstrual cycle. Similarly, the other mammals, which includes your animals and dogs, do they also have menstrual cycle, the females there? Do you think the females undergo something called as menstrual cycle? Yes, they do. There is an event which is similar to menstrual cycle. It is called as estrous cycle. OESTROUS. It's called as estrous cycle, which happens in your other apes, other non-primates, other primates, that is your cats and dogs and everything. But there are key differences there. Obviously, in the menstrual cycle, in the case of your primates, there is a bleeding and everything, but there is no bleeding or as such in the case of cats and dogs. But there is a cycle called as estrous cycle there. Clear? The first menstruation begins at puberty and is called as menarche. Write down, all of you. This is a very good question. It also been a PYQ question. The starting of menstrual cycle. The start of menstrual cycle is called as menarche. Now tell me, what do you call the end of menstrual cycle? The end of menstrual cycle is called as menopause. So starting of the menstrual cycle, which is menarche, which happens usually around 12 to 14 years old girls. The menarche, then this is the menarche, and the menopause. The menopause usually takes place around 55 years old females. 55 years old. Okay, this is called as menopause. This is menarche. Starting is called as menarche. Ending is called as menopause. Any doubt there? Any doubt there? No. Very easy, right? The human female's menstruation is repeated on an average interval of 28 to 29 days. So every 28 to 29 days, there is a menstrual cycle, right? and the cycle event starting from one menstruation till the next one is called as the menstrual cycle. So the entire thing is called as menstrual cycle. Easy, easy. The ovum is released, that is ovulation, during the middle. Okay, students, let's read later on. Let's read later on. Can we decode this diagram now? Can we decode this diagram? Tell me. Tell me, are you ready for decoding time? This is called as decoding time, where we completely decode the diagram without leaving a single point, and I will make sure you understand every single point now. Ready? Tell me. Tell me if the diagram is visible, because I will write a lot right now. I want you to write with me. Ready? Tell me. Every single point we'll be discussing now. Tell me if you're ready or not. The entire decoding. No. Tell me, is the diagram visible? Is it visible? Tell me yes sir, it is visible in the chat, and we'll start, students. Friends, you need to know that in the entire menstrual cycle, see, ultimate focus now, ultimate focus. In the entire menstrual cycle, there are two events happening simultaneously. The meaning of simultaneously is that the two events are happening at the same time. Two events happening at the same time. What are these two events? The first event is called as your ovarian events. Here, one is called as ovarian events. Ovarian events. The other one, which is happening in the uterus, that is going to be a uterine events. Uterine events. So there are two events happening. The first event is happening in the ovary, called as ovarian events. The other event, which is happening at the same time in the uterus, is called as uterine events. Two events happening simultaneously at the same time. Now here, the interesting thing is that, the interesting part is that one event is influencing the other event. I repeat again, one event is influencing the other event with respect to hormones. With respect to hormones. For example, here the first phase in the ovarian event is called as follicular phase. It's called as what? Follicular phase. Follicular phase. Okay, it's called as follicular phase. At the same time, in the uterus, it's called as proliferatory phase. It's called as proliferative phase. Proliferative phase. Okay. So in the ovaries, follicular phase. In the uterus, that is in the uterine tissue, that is proliferative phase. Two events happening simultaneously. Two events happening simultaneously. Now in the uterus, there is one more event happening at the same time. That is, before this, there is one more event called as the menstruation. But let me write it up. Which is the menstruation. Okay. Now, then there is a one common event. That is going to be ovulation. That is a very common event in both. Common event. Okay, common event. Now, what is the next event here? The next event in the ovary is called as your luteal phase. Luteal phase. At the same time, in the uterus, it's happening called as secretory phase. It's called as secretory phase. Now, this was just the pre-requirements. If you have understood this, the next part is going to be very easy. If you have understood this much, next part is going to be very easy. You can follow through now. Okay. Now, let's start with this part. That is, entire event is divided into, can you see? One line is here, and one line is here, and one line is here. This part is different, this part is different. What is happening? This part, this side, the left hand side will be studying first. Now, in the starting, students, can you see there is an increase in level of FSH? Quickly tell me in the chat, what is FSH now? That is follicular stimulating hormone, right? Increase in level of FSH, yes. Increase in level of FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. Follicular, it stimulates development of follicle. Yes. So that is what is happening here. Do you see here? We have the tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. this primary follicle, secondary follicle, all this is developing in the embryonic stage. But right now, the main focus should be on tertiary phase and Graafian follicle. Now, increase in level of FSH. Increase in level of FSH is influencing the development of follicle. Development of follicle. Okay, there is development of follicle. Increase in level of FSH. Now, once there is a dominant follicle, because every month, in the case of female, one ovary is releasing one egg. Out of the two ovaries, every month, one ovary is releasing only one egg. So every month there is a requirement of only a single dominant follicle. With me? Single dominant follicle. So once there is a formation of dominant follicle, is there any requirement of FSH now? Tell me. Follicular stimulating hormone is stimulating the development of follicles. Now, once there is a dominant follicle, is there a requirement of FSH? No. Can you see now? There's a decrease in level of FSH now? Yes. There's a decrease in level of FSH here. FSH. Now, how is it happening? How is it decreasing? That is very important to understand. How is it decreasing? There is something called as feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanism. Once there is a dominant follicle, the surrounding cells here called as granulosa cells. Granulosa cells does the feedback mechanism to decrease the level of FSH. To decrease the level of FSH. The feedback mechanism by granulosa cells. At the same time, there is also involvement of inhibin. Inhibin is also released by granulosa cells. Remember the structure of follicle. The structure of the follicle on the outside has granulosa cells. Granulosa cells. So granulosa cells is doing feedback mechanism to decrease the level of FSH. Decrease in level of FSH. Now, can you see a diagram? Diagram is more important. Decrease in level of FSH. Now, we have the dominant follicle. Now, this dominant follicle is releasing the estrogen. Do you realize how one event is influencing the other event? Development of follicle. The follicle is releasing estrogen. Because of the follicle, there is release of estrogen. Now, can you see the blue line is increasing here? Yes, the blue line is more here. Here. Not here. See here. The blue line is more. Now, once there is increase in level of estrogen, what is happening? Because of increase in level of estrogen, it is influencing the development of endometrium layer. Point to be noted. Increase in level of estrogen is causative reason for increase in development of, that is development of endometrium layer. There is a piling of endometrium layer. You have studied this during the menstrual cycle, during the hormonal stages. There is development of endometrium layer 2, which makes sure that it is ready for, uterus is ready for implantation, right? So this is what development of endometrium layer is happening because of increase in the level of estrogen. Blue line is up. This part is over. Any doubt here, ask me quickly, students. Concept did all of you understand? I will revise again once if you want. I'll just repeat it once if you want. Listen to me very carefully. Starting, there is increase in level of FSH. Increase in level of FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. It is stimulating the development of follicle. Once we have a dominant follicle, there is no more requirement of FSH. So can I tell there is a reverse mechanism, that is feedback mechanism, and decrease in level of FSH. Done. Now this developing follicle, because of the developed follicle, there is increase in level of estrogen. Blue line is increasing. Blue line is over the red line. Now this increased level of estrogen is directly affecting the development of endometrium layer. So endometrium layer is increased or developed because of the increase in level of estrogen. Done. Done. Progesterone, not right now. Progesterone, not right now. Progesterone will come later on. Till here, it's over. Tell me if you understood till here. First part of your menstrual cycle is done. There is an event which is happening in the ovary. Ovarian event. And ovarian event is called as what? Follicular phase. That is development of follicle. That is why it's called as follicular phase. Development of follicles. At the same time, it's called as proliferatory phase in the uterus. Why? Because there is proliferation of endometrium layer. Endometrium layer. Okay. How is the estrogen increasing? Estrogen is increasing because of the developing follicle. Because of developing follicle. And why it's called as follicular phase? Why it is called as proliferatory phase? Because there is proliferation of endometrium layer. Concept is very important. Concept is important. Okay. Now, students, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully now. Now, at the 14th day, there is an increase in levels of, both LH as well as increase in level of FSH. Both are spiking here. Both are spiking. FSH and LH both are spiking, and that is called as LH surge. It is called as LH surge because there is a sudden increase in LH here. Now, because of LH surge, which happens on the 14th day, there is rupturing of Graafian follicle. Rupturing of Graafian follicle. Why? Tell me in the chat quickly. Because of LH surge, SURGE. Because of LH surge, there is ovulation is happening. What is ovulation, students? Ovulation is nothing but rupturing of the Graafian follicle and the release of secondary oocyte. Technical term. Release of secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte is being released. Secondary oocyte. Now, why am I calling it secondary oocyte and not the oocyte? Because this secondary oocyte now will start to undergo meiosis 2, and then it will get arrested, and then when it comes in contact with the sperm, then it will become oocyte. Not now. Okay, not secondary oocyte. Okay. Now, ovulation is happening, and can you see there's no change here? There's not much change here. There is only increase in level of estrogen. Because of follicle. Now, what happens with the ovulation? Now, once the ovulation is taking place, the oocyte is released. If there is fertilization, if the sperm is entering the vaginal tract, if there is sperm is there, if fertilization take place, then there will be zygote formation, embryo formation, implantation, parturition, lactation. The entire flow will happen. If there is fertilization. Now, what if there is no fertilization? What if there is no sperm is coming? There is no entry of sperm and there is no fertilization. If there is no fertilization, what happens? That also we'll study now. Okay? Can we study? Listen to me very carefully now. Now, listen to me very carefully. Can you see? This red one is FSH, right? Red one is FSH. Blue one is LH. I'll write with blue now. What happens now? Now, can you see there is an increase in level of LH here? Increase in level of LH now. This generally happens. Listen to me very carefully now. Listen to me very carefully. There is increase in level of LH here. Okay. Now, once the ovulation takes place, what happens to the remaining part of Graafian follicle? The remaining part of Graafian follicle, apart from the secondary oocyte, gets converted to corpus luteum. Point clear? Yes. That is, Graafian follicle, the remaining part of Graafian follicle gets converted to corpus luteum. Okay. Corpus luteum is there now. Now listen to me very carefully. Can you see there is an increase in level of LH here? Yes, sir. LH is more here. Now this LH will maintain the corpus luteum. Very important point. LH will maintain the corpus luteum. And because of corpus luteum, the main function of corpus luteum is to produce progesterone. See, corpus luteum is there. Can you see? The red line is increasing here. The red line is nothing but what? What is the red line? The red line is progesterone. So, progesterone is increasing. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. So, increase in level of LH. LH is maintaining the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. What is the function of progesterone now? The main function of progesterone is to maintain the endometrium here. Can you see here? It is maintaining endometrium layer. So, I'll repeat again, students. Increase in level of LH here. LH is maintaining corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. Progesterone is doing what? Progesterone is maintaining the endometrium layer. Maintaining the endometrium layer. Now, if I ask you a question, students, which hormone is responsible for formation of endometrium layer? The formation of endometrium layer is estrogen. Maintaining the endometrium layer is progesterone. Is that point clear to every single student watching lecture right now, or any single student who's going to watch it later on? Is that point clear to all of you? Production, that is proliferation, is because of estrogen. Then maintaining is because of progesterone. Maintaining is because of progesterone. Point to be noted. Now, what if there is no fertilization? What if there is no fertilization? If there is no fertilization, no fertilization. If there is no fertilization, can I tell the LH will drop? First thing which is going to happen right now. If there is no fertilization, the LH will drop. If the LH is dropping, students, listen to me now. If the LH is dropping, who will maintain the corpus luteum now? Who will maintain the corpus luteum? If the LH is dropping, corpus luteum cannot be maintained. The corpus luteum gets converted to corpus albicans, or we can call it regression of corpus luteum. That is, the corpus luteum completely degenerates. Gone. Corpus luteum is gone now. Corpus luteum is gone. Why? Because there is a decrease in LH here. Now, if the corpus luteum is gone, corpus luteum was producing progesterone. I told you. Can I see decrease in progesterone here? Here. Decrease in progesterone. Yes. There's a decrease in progesterone. Now, the main function of progesterone was to maintain the endometrium layer. If there is no progesterone, obviously there is no one to maintain the endometrium layer, and the endometrium layer will collapse. All the blood vessels will come out. Unfertilized egg will come out, and that is the start of right here of new menstrual cycle, of the new menstruation period. That's the bleeding stage. Do you realize the main reason for bleeding is that decrease in level of LH, regression of degeneration of corpus luteum, decrease in the level of progesterone, collapse of endometrium layer. Did we just understand the entire menstrual cycle? Yes, we did. And do you realize it's called as luteal phase? Why? Because there is corpus luteum, obviously, corpus luteum, and luteinizing hormone, and also it's called as secretory phase because the endometrium layer here is secretory in nature. Endometrium layer. Easy, right? That was the entire menstrual cycle, students. Entire menstrual cycle made it easy for you. Any doubt, ask me now. Now, with that being said, days are important. Can you see? 1st to 13th stage. 1 to 13th stage is going to be proliferatory phase, also called as follicular phase. 14th day is going to be the LH surge. 15th to 29th day is going to be luteal phase or secretory phase. Then again it starts. 1 to 3 days is menstruation. 1 to 3 days is menstruation again. Now, students who are watching this lecture for the first time, if you're watching the lecture for the first time, sir, you might be getting confused little here and there. You might be. That's very natural. It's very natural to feel a little confused. The only way you're able to feel better and more confident at this concept is that when you watch this lecture again, when this class is over, sit with a notebook and write down the points which I told. Who's going to stop you from learning then? Okay, promise me. You do that later on. Once this class is over, you can sit back again, watch the lecture again, write in the points where I told you FSH, follicle, estrogen, maintain proliferation, LH, corpus luteum, then we have progesterone, maintaining the endometrium. So that is the entire process. That's a learning curve. Which you need to do. From your side. My part is over right now. The teaching, the concept, everything is clear. Your part is learning part now. Okay. let's read the lines of NCERT now. Let's read the lines of NCERT. The major events of menstrual cycle are shown in figure 3.1, which we just decoded. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase when the menstrual flow occurs and it lasts for 3 to 5 days, which we learned. The menstrual flow results due to breakdown of endometrium lining of the uterus. So why is it called menstrual cycle? Because there is breaking of endometrium layer. That's the bleeding phase, right? And it's blood vessels which forms the liquid that comes out through the vagina, right? See, it is coming through vaginal opening, again, vaginal opening, vaginal orifice, not the uterine. Okay. Now, menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized. Okay. The lack of menstruation may be indicator of pregnancy. Maybe, this is a very important line. It may be indicator of pregnancy, not 100%. Because there are cases in the case of females where the female has not gotten the periods or the menstrual cycle for 1, 2, 3 months. Now, what could be the reason behind it? Students, this is a very common thing. All the girls watching this is a very common thing. The main causative reason is going to be your diet, food, stress, everything. Everything plays an important role in your body. What you eat, you become, right? So, whatever food you're taking, everything has a hormonal change. So, as if there is even a minute change in hormones, it could lead to a drastic changes in your body. You learned it in chemical coordination. Hormones are released in a small amount, but it has a massive effect on the body, right? So it is a very common thing, may be indicator of pregnancy. However, it may also be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. See, stress and poor health. The menstrual phase is followed by the follicular phase. During this phase, the primary follicle in the ovary grow to become a fully mature Graafian follicle. This primary follicle is growing in the embryonic stage. In the puberty time, it is only tertiary and Graafian, remember. And simultaneously, the endometrium of uterus regenerates through the proliferation. Endometrium is regenerating because of proliferation. So, PCOD disease, yes, it is polycystic. That what happens is there is a complete change in hormones, and there will be skipping of periods. There could be it could also cause increase in weight of the female. Like the female can become much more heavier in nature because there are so many diseases like that, right? Polycystic ovarian disease, right? Now these changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by changes in the levels of pituitary and ovarian hormones. See, very important. Pituitary hormones and ovarian hormones. You learned that. Pituitary hormones are what? Pituitary hormones are your FSH and LH. Pituitary hormones. Ovarian hormones are estrogen and progesterone. You just now learnt how each hormone is influencing the other event. Understand? Right? The secretions of gonadotropins, LH and FSH increases gradually during the follicular phase and stimulates the follicular development as well as secretion of the estrogen by the growing follicle. We learned this. How LH or how FSH is acting on estrogen. We learned that. Both LH and FSH attain a peak in the middle of the cycle, that is 14th day, called as LH surge. The rapid secretion of LH leading to the maximum level during the mid-cycle, called as LH surge, induces the rupturing of Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle is ruptured now and the ovulation takes place. Which day? 14th day, all of you. 14th day, right? Ovulation. The ovulation, also called as the ovulatory phase, is followed by the luteal phase, during which the remaining parts of Graafian follicle transform into corpus luteum. Now tell me in the chat quickly, corpus luteum is responsible for which hormone? Corpus luteum produces the progesterone. The corpus luteum secretes a large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of endometrium. Did we learn this point? Yes, we learned this point. Such an endometrium is necessary for implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. Now, during pregnancy, all events of menstrual cycle stops. Very important. Very important. During pregnancy, all the events of menstrual cycle stops. Why does it stop? Because there is a change in hormones now. There is a change in hormones. Progesterone level is never going down. Progesterone level is always high because it also helps in pregnancy. So, as soon as there is a change in hormone levels, even the menstrual cycle stops during pregnancy, right? This causes disintegration of endometrium, leading to Okay, 1 second. Menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. No fertilization, no corpus luteum. This causes disintegration of the endometrium leading to menstrual cycle, marking a new cycle again. So in the human beings, the menstrual cycle ceases around 50 years of age. I told you that 50 to 55 years, and we call it menopause. Menopause. The cyclic menstruation is an indicator of normal reproductive phase and extends between menarche and menopause. It is a complete lifespan. In lifespan of female it happens. Starting is called as menarche, end is called as menopause. Concept done, NCERT lines done. Beautiful, right? Concept done, NCERT lines also you understood. The only thing which is remaining is question. The only thing which is remaining is question. Solve the question now then. Solve the question, all of you. Solve the question. Your time starts now. Just saying. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer this question. Just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds to answer this question. Right? Tell me if you understood the menstrual cycle. I want some red hearts in the chat because this is a concept which many people just teach with the help of lines, but the best way to learn the menstrual cycle is with the help of diagram, and we have done that. The best way possible to learn it. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the reproductive cycle? In non-primates, mammals, cyclic changes during reproduction is called as estrous cycle. It's called as estrous cycle. Yes. Non-primates, cats and dogs, I told you. The first menstrual cycle begins at the puberty is called as menopause. No, it's called as menarche. This is ending. Lack of menstruation may be indicator of pregnancy. Yes, it may be indicator of pregnancy. Maybe. Right, maybe. Right. Now, cyclic menstruation extends between menarche and menopause. Yes. What is the answer? A is correct. A, C, D. Option number 1. Can we lock this? Can we lock it, all of you? Yes, A for awesome, Gopika ma'am. Can we lock it? Yes. And this is a NEET 2023 question. Done. Next question. Endometrium is necessary for implantation. Okay. This is an extra question, na? Endometrium is necessary for implantation of blastocyst. Yes, it is important. If there is no proper endometrium, implantation will not happen. Implantation will not happen. Okay. Now, in the absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates. That causes disintegration of endometrium. Tell me, yes or no? Yes. But is there any relation between? Is there any relation between reason and assertion? Is there any relation? Is there any relation? Tell me the answer now. Which one should we lock now? Which one should we lock? Is it 2 or 3? Tell me, is it 2 or 3 now? Is it B or C? Students, endometrium is necessary for implantation. Okay. Here they are talking about implantation and everything. Implantation topic. Here they are talking about menstrual cycle topic. Menstrual cycle topic. In absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates and that causes disintegration. Think. Think now, again. All of you who said option number B, think again now. See, topics are also different, right, students? The topics are only different. One topic is talking about endometrium is necessary for implantation. Second topic is talking about in absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. Right? And did all of you wish Captain Sir today? Did all of you wish Captain Sir today is Shreyas's birthday? Just saying, if you don't remember. Okay. Now, next question. Match the items given in the column 1 with column 2 and select the correct option given below. Proliferatory phase, the starting phase. The proliferative phase is called starting phase, is also called as secondary phase, is also called as menstruation, is also called as. Time starts now. Go. Time starts now. Go. Quickly. The proliferative phase is also called as what? Here. The first phase is happening here. Follicular phase. Proliferative phase. Proliferation of endometrium. Same time in the above there was development of follicles. So here secondary phase is also called as your luteal phase. C is 1. Yes. Done. Easy question, right? Easy question. Obviously, it's a very easy question. Obviously, it's an easy question, students. Very easy question. Now, identify the correct statement on inhibin. Student, this is a... Now, you might be wondering, sir, why did you teach about inhibin? It's not even given in NCERT. It is out of NCERT. Out of NCERT. But have they asked in examination? Yes. NEET 2016 exam. They have asked you about inhibin out of NCERT. So it is my duty to make sure everything you learn. Yes. Right. See here. Is it produced by granulosa cells in the ovary and inhibits secretion of FSH? Produced by granulosa cells in the ovary and inhibits secretion of LH? Produced by nurse cells in the testes and inhibits secretion of LH? This one, big no. Big no. Inhibits secretion of LH, FSH and prolactin? No. Is it option number A or B now? Tell me. Quickly, I want to log the answer now. After log the answer, quickly tell me in the chat, all of you. After log the answer. A, sure. Sure, all of you. Yes, it's option number 1. Exactly. It is produced by granulosa cells which does the decrease in FSH. Now, if you have been listening to my class, tell me, why is there inhibin? Why is there a requirement to decrease FSH? Tell me. Why should we decrease FSH? Is there a reason for it? Is there a reason for it? Tell me. You will tell. Obviously, because the main reason for decrease in FSH is because the body has found a dominant follicle for the month. It's set. They do not need any more dominant follicle. Easy. The main function of mammalian corpus luteum is to produce. AIPMD 2014 question. 2014 question. Quickly. Sertoli cells, see, Sertoli cells also produce inhibin, but that context is different. Sertoli cells in the case of males, but right now we're talking about menstrual cycle, which happens in female, right? Right? Sertoli cells produce many enzymes, androgen binding protein, and everything. This is an easy question. B for Basavaraj Sir. Exactly. Option number B. Now, with that being said, the chapter for your topic of menstrual cycle is over. Done and dusted. Now, can we start with the next topic now? The next topic is going to be fertilization and implantation. Very easy, students. If you have understood the chapter till now, the next part is going to be smooth. Very smooth. Smooth journey we have. Okay. We have a very smooth journey. So if you're new to the channel, if you started watching the lecture right now, please smash the like button. It's very important for the YouTube algorithm, not for me, for the YouTube algorithm. So do that, and we will get going with the next concept now. Can we start, all of you? Ready? Any doubt? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt till now in the menstrual cycle? I believe there should be no doubt. Right? No. If you remember, when I was teaching you about fallopian tube, I asked a question, I told you a point there. Which part of fallopian tube the fertilization takes place? How many of you remember? Which part of fallopian tube where the fertilization event takes place? Quickly in the chat. Now, during copulation, also called as coitus or intercourse or sex, anything, same thing, same meaning. During copulation, the semen is released by the penis into the vagina. That is called as insemination in the terms of scientific. Insemination. Okay? It's called as insemination. The motile sperms swim rapidly and pass through the cervix, cervical canal, and enter the uterus and finally reach the ampullary region of the fallopian tube. And it is the same ampullary region where the fertilization takes place. Old NCERT, ampullary isthmus junction, but right now, new NCERT, it is going to be ampullary region or ampulla. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary region where fertilization takes place. Done. Also, can you any of you remind me, how is the ovum moving? How is the secondary oocyte going? It is swimming in water. Is it walking? Is it running? Or is it moving with the help of ciliated columnar epithelium cells? Tell me, how is it moving? How is it moving? In the chat. Fertilization can only occur if the ovum and the sperm are transported simultaneously. The meaning of simultaneously is that at the same time. Same time to the ampullary region. This is the reason why not all copulation lead to the fertilization and pregnancy, because sometimes what happens, sperm is there, ovum is not there. Sometimes ovum is there, there is no sperm. Okay. So that is the main reason. Exactly, cilia. Cilia, nice, cilia. Now, students, do you want to learn concept now? Do you want to learn the concept that how polyspermy is prevented? That's right. How polyspermy is prevented in the case of fertilization. The meaning of polyspermy is that many sperm fertilization. In the case of your fertilization here, many sperm does not go. Only one sperm, this side, only one sperm fertilizes the ovum. How? How is it happening? How is it happening? That we will learn now. That we will learn now. Okay. All of you write on this. Extra information, separate book, open your book and write this down. Okay. Now students, this is the ovum. This is the ovum. Okay. This is the ovum. There are many layers around it. Many layers. Okay. First of all, for example, this is plasma membrane. Yes. Plasma membrane is there. Then there is a zona pellucida layer. Then there is one second, let me draw it properly. Okay. Now students, there are multiple layers here. Multiple layers. For example, the outermost layer is called as corona radiata, which is outside. Corona radiata, right? Radiata. Then there is zona pellucida layer here. Here, I'll write ZP, so all of you can remember. Zona pellucida layer. Then there is plasma membrane. Then there is plasma membrane. Okay. Then there is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. Okay. There are multiple layers here. There are multiple layers here. Okay. Now, when the sperm is coming here, let's draw the tail better. Okay. The sperm is coming in contact. Now, before fertilization, there are actually many types of reactions happening, which is not given in your NCERT, which I'll also not teach. If I teach you all those reactions, your mind might blow, or they will not ask you an examination also. But I'll tell you a small here and there few points, so you can understand the concept in a much more detailed manner. Okay. For example, when the sperm is entering inside near the sperm, in the female reproductive tract, there is a process called as capacitation. The process is called as capacitation. Okay. Now, capacitation is nothing but activation of sperm. It is like second evolution. The sperm is getting more motility, it's getting more vigorous, it is becoming, right? Capacitation is happening. Along with capacitation, there is a lot of acrosomal reactions. Okay. Acrosomal reactions are happening. Now, I will not teach you acrosomal reactions, because if I have to teach you acrosomal reaction, I have to teach you how zona pellucida layer is degrading, how corona radiata is decreasing. Do you want me to tell that? If yes, I'll tell that. It's not an issue, but it will simply not ask you an examination. Okay, because corona radiata is actually broken by something called as CPE. CPE. That is nothing but your corona penetrating enzyme. Corona penetrating enzyme. Because with the help of corona penetrating enzyme, corona radiator layer is broken down. All that is present here in the cap-like structure. Okay, cap-like structure. This enzyme is gone. Then zona pellucida. The zona pellucida layer is also removed by something called as acrosin. This layer is broken by something called as acrosin. With the help of acrosin, this layer is also gone. This layer is also gone. Okay, this layer is also gone. Now, then we have plasma membrane. Then we have the plasma membrane. Listen to me very carefully, all of you. Listen to me very carefully. Then there is plasma membrane. There is something called as anti-fertilizing and fertilizing. Understand, concept understand. Concept you should understand. In the head of the sperm, there is something called as anti-fertilizing. And on the layer here, there is something called as fertilizing. Fertilizing. In a simple way I have to explain, if the simple way I have to explain is that anti-fertilizing and fertilizing are like lock and key. Lock and key. Simple way, lock and key. As soon as sperm comes in contact with the plasma membrane, as soon as the sperm comes in contact with the plasma membrane, there is formation of some cone here. Can you see? There is a formation of cone here. It's called as fertilization cone. It is called as fertilization cone. Fertilization cone. With the formation of fertilization cone, once, I think it's not seen, right? This is not seen only. Stupid purple color. Red will do, red. There is formation of fertilization cone. This is your fertilization cone. Fertilization cone. Once there is formation of fertilization cone, there will be opening of many channels here, like sodium channels. Many sodium channels will open. Many sodium channels will open. Can I say Na plus channels are opening? Na plus channels are opening. Once the Na plus channel opens, completely, the plasma membrane, this right here, the plasma membrane here, right here, the plasma membrane gets depolarized. Depolarized. The plasma membrane gets depolarized. And this is called as fast reaction. It's your fast reaction or the immediate reaction. Immediate reaction. That is depolarization of plasma membrane. All of you are following. Concept is concept. NCERT will not tell you this extra concept. There is what? Depolarization of plasma membrane. Now, once the plasma membrane gets depolarized, no more sperm can enter. As soon as one sperm is entering inside, the nuclei has been sent inside. Plasma membrane gets depolarized, no more sperm can enter. No more sperm can enter inside now. No more sperm can enter. No more sperm can enter at all. This is fast reaction. This is called as fast reaction. There is something called as permanent reaction also. Later it happens. That is also called as cortical reaction or cortical reaction. That is happening later on. Okay. Or acrosomal reaction. Cortical reaction is happening later on. There is formation of cortical canals. There will be formation of cortical layer here. Cortical layer. That you don't worry. That you don't worry. Just learn this much. Just learn this much. Did all of you learn? Did all of you understand what is happening here? There are many layers here. For example, corona radiata is removed by corona penetrating enzyme. Zona pellucida is layer removed by acrosin. There is hyaluronic acid also is there. That also is removed. One more thing is there. Then there is a depolarization of plasma membrane. Depolarization of plasma membrane because of opening of sodium channels. There is capacitation is happening here. Capacitation is happening here. And once the depolarization happens, no more sperm can enter inside. No more sperm can enter inside. Beautiful concept, right? Such an intricate manner it is designed. Such a beautiful way it is designed, students. Beautiful way it is designed. You all of you understand? Sir, but would polyspermy happen? Yes, there are chances. Yes, there are chances of polyspermy happening. Yes, there are chances. See students, in science there are always exceptions. In science there are always exceptions are there. And students, if you are watching this lecture for the first time, this might be a little confusing, so please watch it again. I'm repeating. When I'm teaching some higher concept, I want you to repeat one more time, listen one more time, understand one more time, until it's stuck in your mind, the concept you never forget. Don't by heart any of this. Don't by heart any of this. If you by heart, there is a very chance it will go away. Visualize it. Yes, zona placental layer is there, it's broken down by acrosin, everything is coming, it's happening. Okay, done. Topic is done. See here, students, see here. The process of fusion of sperm with the ovum is called as fertilization, also called as syngamy, right? Syngamy, or there's something called as fusion of nuclei. Fusion of nuclei is called as amphimixis also. Fusion of nuclei, amphimixis. Yes, twins. Twins is one of the case. Twins is one of the case of that will happen, right? During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with the zona placental layer of the ovum and induces the change in the membrane. See, can you see here? Induces a change in the membrane. What is the change in membrane, students? What is the change in membrane? The change in the membrane here is depolarization of the membrane because of sodium channels. Because of sodium channels, depolarization of the membrane. NCERT is mentioning the line, but it is not explaining you. Not explaining you. Okay. Ravindra asking, sir, how can twins and iron? I'll make a short on it. Ravindrani, I'll make a short on it. How twins occur? How twins occur? There are two ways in which twins can occur. Both the process I'll explain in a short. Okay, that is a very interesting thing. It is a very interesting thing. Okay, this is a depolarization plasma membrane that blocks the entry of additional sperm. That is blocking polyspermy. Thus, it ensures that only one sperm can fuse with the fertilize an ovum. The secretions of the acrosome we learned right now. Acrosomal reactions. Acrosomal reactions, the acrosin as well as your penetrating enzyme, coronary penetrating enzyme helps in sperm entering into the cytoplasm of the ovum. See, entering into the cytoplasm of the ovum. Once it enters the cytoplasm, there is a fusion of nuclei through the zona placental layer and the plasma membrane. This induces, see, I have told you in the oogenesis. Once the sperm comes in contact with the egg, the meiosis 2 is over. Meiosis 2 is finally completed. Meiosis 2 is finally completed. Oogenesis I told you. Once the final meiosis 2 is completed, it will result in the production of egg or ooted as well as the second polar body. Second polar body. In the previous class we learned it. Right? We learned it. It's given here. This induces the completion of meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. I told you, the secondary oocyte starts meiosis 2, but it gets arrested at your meiosis 2 at metaphase. At metaphase 2. Metaphase 2. Right? The secondary meiotic division is also unequal, results in the formation of second polar body and a haploid ovum or ooted. Soon the haploid nucleus, see, nucleus of sperm and that of ovum fuse together to form zygote, and this is called as amphimixis. Fusion of nuclei. Fusion of nuclei is called as amphimixis. It's called as amphimixis. Amphimixis. That is fusion of nuclei. Nucleus. Fusion of nucleus. Clear? Clear? That results in the formation of zygote. Done. How many chromosomes will be there in zygote? Zygote is diploid in nature. So you tell me. Zygote is diploid in nature. Students, are you understanding how oogenesis which started somewhere else? They are finishing the oogenesis right here. Oogenesis is completed right here, which started there somewhere there. Okay. Nice. Sex determination is very easy. I'm going to skip this. Sex determination is very easy. I don't think this requires much of teaching. This is very easy, right? Very easy. We'll skip this one. That is basically telling you, sir, what is haploid and what is diploid? Can someone tell Muralidharan, right? Muralidharan, what is haploid and diploid quickly? Haploid, what is haploid, what is diploid? That is the number of chromosomes. Now, the meiotic division starts, now mitotic now. Now, this zygote, the zygote right here, which is diploid in nature, the zygote right here, which is diploid in nature, will start to undergo mitosis. Mitosis now. And the zygote will start to undergo mitosis and will start dividing. 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, 8 cell staged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cell stage. 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell stage. This division of zygote, that is zygote undergoing mitosis. Zygote undergoing mitosis is called as cleavage. That's it. It's called as cleavage. See here. Moves through the isthmus of the oviduct and called as cleavage towards the uterus. Now, if you remember in the fallopian tube, the fertilization happens in the ampulla region. Right? Ampulla region. Now the zygote is moving. The zygote is moving towards the uterus. This is the uterus, right? Moving towards the uterus now. Clear? Now, and forms 2, 4, 8 daughter cells called as blastomeres. Now listen to me very carefully. I told you here, 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, 8 cells. The cells which I am talking here, the other name for that cells is called as blastomere. The cells inside are called as blastomere. The cells inside are called as blastomeres. So 2 blastomere, 4 blastomeres, 8 blastomeres. 8 blastomeres they are called as. 8 blastomeres. Okay, blastomeres. Now, and there will be one embryo. This is embryo formation. There will be an embryo with 8 to 16 cells. That is 8 to 16 blastomeres. If there is an embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere, that is called as morula. Right here. Can you see? Morula. That is 8 to 16 cell stage. Called as morula. Clear? Called as morula. See? Fertilization, 2 celled, 4 celled, 8 to 16 cell is called as morula. Here, what is happening here? Ovulation is happening, egg is released, fertilization in the ampulla region. Fertilization is happening here. 2 cells, 4 celled, 16 celled. It's coming down the uterus now. It's coming down the uterus. The embryo is coming down the uterus now. It's coming down. Here. It's coming down the uterus lining. Okay? Morula is here. Now, listen to me very carefully. Now there is morula is there. You have the morula. Right. Now this was the structure of, this is the structure of the embryo. Let's call it blastocyst. No. Diagram is here. What should I write again? See the morula. Now later on, the morula gets converted to blastocyst. Now this blastocyst right here has a special structure. A blastocyst has a very special structure. Now inside the morula we have cells. Now tell me, what is the cells called as? What do we call the cells? The inside, what we have the cells here inside, what do you call them? The cells inside the morula or the blastocyst, the cells is called as blastomeres. Yeah, it's called as blastomeres. Now here there is a very weird way of arranging the blastomeres. That is, all the blastomeres are arranged at one corner here. All the blastomeres are arranged in one corner here. Inside the blastocyst. All the blastomeres are arranged in towards one corner like this, one corner. This one corner is called as inner cell mass. Okay. Or all the blastomeres are on the periphery. They're either on the periphery or towards one side. They're all the way to the periphery or towards one side. Do you see this? To the periphery. The periphery one is called as trophoblast cells. Trophoblast. It's called as what? Trophoblast. Trophoblast cells. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Inner cell mass and trophoblast. What are this trophoblast, inner cell mass? That is the arrangement of blastomeres inside the blastocyst. Inside the blastocyst. Done. Now, eventually, this inner cell mass gets converted to embryo. This is actually the formation of embryo, not here actually. Not here actually. Okay. Embryo formation happens this here. It's happening here somewhere. It's happening here somewhere. Okay. Develops into embryo. And this trophoblast cell along with chorionic villi, uterine tissues, as well as blood vessels, this gets converted to placenta. Placenta, embryo. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Embryo and placenta. Okay. We will read this line again. I'll teach you. Okay. Now here, I'll ask you one question, students. I'll ask you one question. We learnt about mitosis here. Mitosis. Now, if I tell you, the mitosis which is happening here and the mitosis which happens in the somatic cells, normal somatic cells, is completely different. This mitosis and other mitosis are completely different. They are not same at all. That is, in normal mitosis, students, in normal mitosis, what do we have? We have G1 stage, we have S stage and G2 stage. In normal mitosis, there is G1, S and G2 phase. But in this mitosis right here, there is complete absence of G1 and G2 right here. Did all of you understand? In normal mitosis, there is G1, S, G2. But in this mitosis right here, that is zygote developing into multiple structures, there is no G1 and there is no G2 phase. No G1 and G2 phase. Not there. If G1 and G2 are completely absent, it means that there is no increase of cytoplasm. There is no development of cytoplasm at all. But there is only increase of genetic material. Is this point clear to all of you? Since there is no G1 and there is no G2, growth 1 and growth 2, only S phase in which there is DNA duplication is happening. There is only increase. There is only increase in the genetic material. Can you see the cell is not increasing here? The cell right here is not increasing. The cell size will remain the same. Usually the cell size increases. Right? So here, in this case right here, it's a phenomena. It is a phenomena which is happening here. There is no increase in the cytoplasm here. No increase in cytoplasm. There is only and only increase of genetic material. That you should remember. Extra point. If the cytoplasm also decrease, there would become a big mass. If there was an increase in cytoplasm, technically this cell will have to divide completely and the cell mass will become bigger and bigger. So it is so special. This mitosis is so special that there is no increase in cytoplasm here. There is only and only increase of genetic material. Beautiful, right? Like how even in the simple humans, there are such an intricate things are happening to make sure that all this is because of evolution. All this is because of evolution, right? Only increase in genetic material. That is DNA. Now, students. Now, the blastomeres is called as morula. That is 8 to 16 cell stage. 8 to 16 cell stage is called as morula. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst. So morula is becoming what? Morula is becoming blastocyst now. Okay. As it is moving further into the uterus, the blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged in a outer layer called as trophoblast. The periphery one is called as trophoblast, and the inner group of cells is called as inner cell mass. We did it right here. Our inner cell mass on one side, periphery is called as trophoblast. Okay. The trophoblast layer then gets attached. See, trophoblast layer is getting attached to the endometrium layer. And the inner cell mass gets differentiated as embryo. did we write this point? I told you the inner cell mass gets developed into embryo and the trophoblast cells get attached to the endometrium layer right here. Trophoblast cells get attached to the endometrium layer, trophoblast cells. Now, after attachment, the uterine cells divide rapidly. The uterine cells right here, divide rapidly. They'll divide rapidly here. They'll divide rapidly and cover the blastocyst. They're completely covering, engulfing the blastocyst. As a result, the blastocyst becomes embedded in the endometrium of uterus, and this is called as implantation. It is called as implantation, which later becomes relates to pregnancy. You understand? Here, right here, trophoblast cells. Can you see here, right here? The trophoblast cells is getting attached to the uterine tissue, and the uterine tissue right here, divides rapidly and completely encloses the inner cell mass and trophoblast cells. The entire blastocyst is enclosed inside the uterine tissue, and that is called as implantation. Nice. Now, after implantation, very important, after implantation, there is a finger-like projections appearing on the trophoblast cells. See, blastocyst, outer layer is called as what? This is called as trophoblast. Outer layer is called as trophoblast here, right here. Trophoblast. On top of this photoblast, there's a finger-like projections. The finger-like projections on the trophoblast is called as chorionic villi. Here, the finger-like projections is called as chorionic villi. Where are they arising? Chorionic villi are arising on trophoblast. So what happens if uterine is not divided, sir? So why will uterine tissue divide? Why will the uterine tissue divide? Tell me in the chat. If the uterine tissue does not divide, what will happen? Uterine tissue is divided into outer perimetrium, middle myometrium, inner endometrium. If the endometrium is not there, implantation will not happen. Simple. Your question is, if uterine tissue is not divided into perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium, if the endometrium is not developed, if there is no progesterone, then there is no implantation. Endometrium is very important. Okay. Now, which are surrounded by uterine tissue. So, chorionic villi is arising on trophoblast cells, which is surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. So, let me write down, students. Let me write down. We have the chorionic villi. Which is part of trophoblast plus the uterine tissue plus maternal blood together they form the placenta. Together they form the placenta. Done? Clear? Is this clear to all of you? Tell me in the chat now. That is, which are surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi, this one right here, the finger-like structures. Imagine, this is the chorionic villi. This is uterine tissue. Chorionic villi and uterine tissue gets interdigitated. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue, they become interdigitated, which results in the formation of placenta. Here, uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly form the structural and functional unit between the developing embryo, that is fetus, and the maternal body, that is the placenta. That is the formation of placenta. Understood how the placenta is formed? All of these are requirements of placenta formation. Uterine tissue and chorionic villi, they get completely interdigitated, which results in the formation of placenta. Done? Okay. The placenta facilitates the see, obviously, if the baby is growing, it requires food. Okay. The baby requires oxygen. Okay. The baby will release CO2. Yes. The baby will release the waste. Yes. All of these processes, intake of oxygen, release of CO2, intake of food, release of excretory waste, all that of this is mediated with the help of placenta. That is the function of placenta, right? Placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen done and nutrition to the embryo and removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste material produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo. Placenta and embryo connection through the umbilical cord. That is like a bridge. Umbilical cord is the bridge. Okay, is the bridge, which helps in transport of substances to and from the embryo. See, here they have mentioned embryo. Eventually, it's going to be the baby, obviously. Right now, they have given embryo. Later, it's going to be the baby. Right? The fetus. The placenta, this is very important. NEET PYQ alert. NEET PYQ alert right here. The placenta also act as a endocrine tissue. It is also acting like endocrine tissue. What is the meaning of endocrine tissue? It is the tissue which produces hormones now. That's right. The other function of placenta is to produce hormones. And produce several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, human placental lactogen, which all of these hormones help in pregnancy, estrogen, progesterone, etc. In the later phase of pregnancy, a hormone called as relaxin for relaxation is also secreted by the ovaries. It is released by the ovaries. Remember, relaxin by ovaries during pregnancy. Relaxin. Done? Yes. You might be asking, sir, what is gonadotropin, what is chorionic? All that you learn in chemical coordination in much more detailed manner. Right now, please remember that this line right here. They'll ask you a question. Which are the hormones which are released only during pregnancy? Direct question. Which are the hormones which are produced only during pregnancy? They'll ask you a question directly. So what is the answer? The hormones which are produced only during pregnancy is nothing but your HCG, HPL and relaxin. NEET PYQ right here. Relaxin are produced in the woman only during pregnancy. In addition, during pregnancy, the levels of other hormones also increase. That is estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. Everything increases. That's what they say, right? Pregnant woman has morning sickness, complete mood swings, sudden cravings, all that sudden cravings of eating, pickles and everything, morning sickness, all of that is because of the change in hormones. Clear? So all of you will remember this, right? Promise 3 hormones right here for your PYQs. Okay. Are increased several folds in the maternal blood. Again, PYQ. That is, increased production of these hormones is essential for supporting the fetal growth. That is why the hormones are important. Because it supports the fetal growth. Metabolic changes in the mother and maintenance of pregnancy. See, all these hormones is important for what? Fetal growth, metabolic reactions, as well as maintenance of pregnancy. If there are no hormones, it's going to be very difficult. Hormones are going to be the most important. So immediately after implantation, immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass is differentiated. Okay, this is a separate paragraph. I think there is a mix and match on small paragraphs. We will learn this. Sir, why only during pregnancy mood swings change? Answer is right here. Can you see this? All these hormones, see, estrogen and progesterone are produced normally inside the female body. They are produced normally. But during pregnancy, what happens? Are increased several folds in the maternal blood. That is, imagine if there was, for example, 10 picoliter, very I don't know how many ml, I don't remember the normal ml, but it was very small quantity in normal levels. But during pregnancy, it has increased at least around, for example, around 2 times or 5 times increase in level of hormones. Obviously, there will be mood swings, right? Mood swings will be there. So, what is the role of oxytocin? We are getting to it. Oxytocin, we are getting to it. The main role of oxytocin is in the towards the end during parturition. I'll tell you that. Okay, done. Now, the differentiation of your embryo, how the embryo differentiates during embryo. So during menstruation also, yes, didn't you see during menstruation, wasn't there increase of estrogen, wasn't there increase of progesterone, there's a decrease in estrogen, increase in LH, increase and decrease in FSH, change in hormones, change in moods. So keep hormones happy, the mood will be happy. Okay, that is the trick. Clear all of you? All of you understand? The main reason for mood swings is because of the increase in level of hormones or decrease in level of hormones. So this you will learn more in the animal tissue chapter. Here, this very briefly it is given. Here. The entire embryo divides into 3 layers. The outer layer is called as ectoderm, middle layer is called as mesoderm, inner layer is called as endoderm. Inner layer, endoderm, and middle layer is called as mesoderm. Soon appears between the ectoderm and endoderm. These 3 layers give rise to all tissues or organs. Basically, they are telling you here is development of embryo. How embryo is developing into different organs. Like ectoderm is developing into one organs. Mesoderm is developing into different organs. Endoderm is developing into different organs of the body. Ear, heart, lungs, kidney, everything. Okay, that you learn more detail in animal tissue chapter, not here. Okay, it needs to be mentioned that here the inner cell mass contains certain cells called as stem cells, which have potency to give rise to all tissues and organs. Stem cells are present inside the embryo. So right now what is happening during the development of embryo, there is collection of stem cells. Yes, they are doing that. When the fetus is developing, the parents itself themselves are collecting some of the stem cells which will help in the later stages. Okay. Now this is a very important table here. Very important paragraph. Here they are telling what is happening in how the fetus is developing. What is happening every month? What is happening every month? It is given right here. What happens in this month? What happens this month? Everything is given here. Okay. See here. For example, it says that the human pregnancy lasts for 9 months. Okay. Done. After 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. They can ask you. All of you tell me the answer now. When is the heart formed? Answer in the chat. Answer is right here. After the first month fertilization. They can also ask you, the first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by the listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. Okay. By the end of 2nd month, also a question. 2nd month, the pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. That is limbs and fingers. 2nd month, limbs and digits. Now tell me the answer. Limbs and digits are developed when? They'll ask you a question directly. When are limbs are developed? Directly. 2nd month. End of 2nd month. Okay. End of 2nd month. By the end of 12 weeks, the first trimester, major organ systems are formed. For example, limbs and external genitalia, when? By the first trimester. As well as the developed. The fetal, the first movement, they say, right, the kick of the baby. They say, right, the kick of the baby. The baby is kicking. Feel the kick, they say. It's playing football in the body. Where is it playing the football? The first movement of the fetus and appearance of the head usually observed in the 5th month. Tell me in the chat now. When is the first movement of the body done? At the 5th month. First major movement, 5th month. Students, I want you to write this. See, why am I making you write it? I want you to separately write in your book. 1st month, 2nd month, 1st trimester, 5th month. What is happening? Okay. By the end of about 24 weeks, at the end of 2nd trimester, end of 2nd trimester, body is covered with fine hair. Body is covered by fine hair because it is a primate, obviously. Eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. Nice. At the end of 9 months, the fetus is fully developed and ready for delivery and packaging and everything, and it is coming out. Baby is ready. Take it and go home. Okay. So students, every single month is very important. There is not much I can teach you here. The only thing which I can tell you here is write down every month what is happening, because it is a question. It is a question. Now, students, can we do the last part of the chapter now? Last part of the chapter. Parturition. How is the baby delivered? How is the delivery happening? Last part of the chapter now. Can we do that? Show some energy in the chat, because continuously I'm giving you information without any break, nothing. Right? Nothing I'm giving you. Every single moment I'm telling you, every single point you're understanding with me. Right? So quickly fire in the chat. And also, let me know in the comment section of today's video, how was today's class? Are you understanding? And and the next chapter which I want to do is very important for me also. The next chapter which I want to do is biomolecules. So if you want biomolecules as the next chapter, because I know many students think that biomolecules is a very difficult chapter, which I want to make it easy for all of you. It's my duty to make you easy chapters easy, right? So I'll make the biomolecules also easy for you. Don't worry. Okay. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months. All of you know that. It's called as gestation period. So 9 months is called as gestation period. Time of fertilization to deliver the baby. The vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of pregnancy is called as the expulsion of deliver the baby. This process of delivery is called as parturition. So what is parturition? Parturition is nothing but delivery of the baby. Delivery of the baby is called as parturition. Okay, parturition. Parturition is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism, which is very important, I'll tell you. Complex neuroendocrine mechanism. That is, there is a signal from the pituitary gland, signal from the uterus. All of them are in one connection. For example, listen to me very carefully. The signal for parturition originates from the fully developed fetus. They'll ask you a question. How is the signal originating? Where is it originating from? Where is the signal originating from? The signal for parturition. Who is telling? The baby is telling. The baby is like, my time is up. I do not want to be inside. I already want to come out in the world. The baby is chilling inside. Time is up. I want to come out now. The first signal is given by the fetus as well as the placenta. Developing fetus and placenta, which induces the mild uterine contraction called as fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex is nothing but baby is telling, please let me out of here. Please let me out of here. That is called as fetal ejection reflex. Right? Now this triggers, when the first reaction is happening, it is triggering some hormones. That is the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. Now tell me, oxytocin is released from posterior or anterior pituitary? Chemical coordination should tell me now. Okay. From posterior pituitary, when the oxytocin is released, oxytocin acts on the uterine tissues and causes stronger contraction. So what is happening is, first there is a signal coming in from the fetus. When the signal comes, there is contraction. Once there is contraction, brain is releasing more oxytocin. If there is more oxytocin, more contraction. More contraction, more oxytocin. More oxytocin, more contraction. That is called as neuroendocrine mechanism. Understanding? First contraction, more oxytocin. More oxytocin, more contraction. More contraction, more oxytocin. It is happening until there is enough of contraction for the baby to slip out. Okay. This stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion continues, resulting in stronger and stronger contraction. This leads to the expulsion of the baby out of the uterus through the birth canal, that is vagina plus cervical canal. Birth canal called as parturition. Soon after the implant is delivered, placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. Placenta also is released outside. Placenta is also released outside. Done. Okay. The mammary glands of the female undergoes differentiation during the pregnancy and starts producing milk towards the end of pregnancy, called as lactation. Lactation is what? Lactation is production of milk. Differentiation of mammary glands is happening twice in the females. First time it is happening during puberty. Second time is happening during parturition. This helps in mother to feed the newborn born. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum. Colostrum is very rich in antibiotics. Antibodies, that is IgA, which contains several antibodies like IgA. Absolutely essential for developing resistance for the newborn babies. So it is recommended by doctors. It is recommended by doctors to make sure the baby is fed, milk fed in the starting. Because once the baby is out, so many diseases around, right? So many diseases around. To make sure the baby builds an immunity, best breast milk is the best one. That is colostrum, right? Absolutely essential for the development resistance of newborn babies. Breastfeeding during the initial period of infant growth is recommended by the doctors for bringing up the healthy baby. And this is your homework question. Let me show you. So relaxin makes pubis symphysis flexible. Yes, pubis symphysis becomes flexible. Relaxin, yes, makes it relaxing, obviously. So can I tell whether the chapter is over? Yes, chapter is over, students. So students, I saw the previous comments. All of you did a really good job in the comments last time, which motivates me to take more zoology classes. In the comments, all of you did a beautiful job. All of you did the question. I saw Ravindrani, Meghna, Savita, all of your comments I saw. And Madhumita, Sai, right? All of your comments I saw, and it was really beautiful. And I would want to see the similar comments because it motivates us to take more classes and everything during everything. It motivates us more and more. So today also do not fail to add the, do not fail to add the comments where you should tell me two things. First and the foremost is going to be your answer. First and foremost is going to be the answer. And the second thing which you need to tell me here is how the chapter was. Because chapter is over. Because the chapter is done and dusted. Right, Anusha, Sai, Philo, Madhumita, right? The chapter is over. So let me know in the comment section how it was. The beautiful journey of human reproduction is done. The next class which we're going to do is going to be biomolecules, right? So let me know in the chat if you're excited for biomolecules also. So with that being said, I'll take off right now. Bye bye students. Take care and have an amazing weekend. Bye bye all of you.